Okay, so I thought I'd start doing some videos. There's a Facebook page called Disc Golf Discussion Page where people can ask questions and try to get advice. I think a lot of good questions are being asked. I think there's a lot of bad answers being given. When somebody asks for a straight flying disc, a destroyer, a nuke, a Zeus, a Excalibur, a ape, those aren't good answers. And destroyer is like the most common answer, and people go out and buy the destroyer, and then they find out, hey, it's not a straight flying disc, and then they get discouraged and they stop playing because we lied to them. So I'm going to do videos and off this Facebook page take questions that are being asked, and I'm going to try to answer them to the best of my ability. And some of them are fun, interesting questions. I'll have some fun with those ones. I think they were intended to be funny. I'll intend my answers to be funny. Some are good questions. They really want to try to improve their game, and we as disc golfers who have been playing for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 20 years, it's our job to improve them, to help them get better. We got to try to grow the sport. Telling somebody a destroyer is a great straight flying disc, that doesn't help. So I'm going to try to do this every day, maybe every other day. I'm going to do it more consistently than I have been doing videos. So today I want to answer a question I think is asked the most, and it's actually probably one of the best questions asked, and what a lot of people struggle with, and that is the wind. The most common answer to that question that I see that is maybe not necessarily wrong, but it's not the answer that's going to improve a player, and that's, well, if you got a left to right wind, you got to aim more to the left, or if you got a right to left, you got to aim more to the right, or if it's a headwind, you got to throw it harder, or if it's a tailwind, hey, bombs away. No. No. We have to understand what the wind is doing to our disc. And I'm going to be Professor DT here, teaching aerodynamics 101, and this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. I'm going to give you what I understand about aerodynamics. I can say that everybody sees every day, but you're not actually seeing it, is airplanes. Airplanes take off in a headwind. Airplanes land in a tailwind. Why is that? Well, it's the same thing in disc golf. We have to understand what a disc does in a headwind. We have to understand what a disc does in a tailwind. So today we're going to go through the 4 basic winds: an east to west, left to right, right to left, headwind, and a tailwind. The one thing you've got to understand is you never have a straight headwind, you never have a straight tailwind, never straight left to right, right to left. You're going to have headwinds that are from the left to right, or you're going to have headwinds from right to left. Tailwind, same thing. You're going to have to try to mix these to get your disc selection. And I think that's the questions people are asking the most. What disc do I throw in a headwind? It's always the headwind. Why the headwind? Because we're thinking that a tailwind, we can throw anything and we can bomb them, because we're getting bad answers on Facebook. So let's start with the one that I struggle with the most. It's the side winds. Left to right, right to left, or east to west, west to east, whatever you want to look at it. It's very simple, but unless your form is dialed in, it could be the hardest. Very simple. If I've got a left to right wind, if the wind is coming this way, I want to throw, it would be either way, I want to throw the disc perfectly level. That way the wind goes over the top, goes underneath, goes over top, goes underneath. Me personally, when I throw a backhand throw, I throw with a little bit hyzer. So what happens when I throw with a little bit hyzer and I have a left to right wind? What's it going to do? It's going to hit the top of this disc and drop it. What if I got a right to left? It's going to get underneath the disc and it's going to lift it. It's actually going to lift it. It's not going to push it to the right. or to the left. It's going to get underneath and lift it. That's why when you watch the pros or you watch yourself throw and your disc is going out there and all of a sudden it does this air bounce. Well, that's because the air is getting underneath the disc, the air is getting under top of the disc. That's what's happening. So for throwing in a side wind, you want to throw level. Now, is that it? Is that all? No. The disc selection. You don't want to throw something that's going to do an S-curve. Because what's that going to do? It's going to show itself to the wind. And then all of a sudden your disc is doing crazy unknown things. What you want to do is throw something overstable with like 0 turn and 2, 3, 4 fade. The more wind you come in, maybe the more fade you want, because you want to fight the wind. So if I've got a wind coming from right to left, I'm going to throw a forehand because I want that disc to go out and I want it to fade into the wind. If I got a left to right, I'm going to throw the backhand. That way when it goes out and it fades, it's fighting the wind. Because if I throw a backhand on a right to left, what's it going to do? It's going to... That's when all of a sudden you see your disc just die. Okay, or I throw a forehand, it's just going to die. So you want to throw an overstable disc. You could throw a destroyer as long as it's not too flippy. You can throw an ape. Is something I throw a lot in a wind situation. Firebird is another great disc in the wind. T-birds, Thunderbirds, something like that. So it's very simple with the side winds. Keep your disc level and have your disc fade into the wind. Let's go to tailwind. Okay, this is the one where everybody says, hey, bombs away, right? No. What does a tailwind do? Let's think about that airplane. That airplane comes in to land with a tailwind. Why? Because a tailwind will slow the airspeed of that airplane so that the pilot has more control over it. Same thing with your disc. When you throw a disc and you have a tailwind, it's actually going to slow your disc down. It doesn't speed it up to where it goes far. No, that's not true. It slows your airspeed of your disc down. So take a N of a turn. -2 turn, 2 fade. Okay? When you throw it into a tailwind, it's not going to turn as much because you have to throw the N of a turn at a 12 speed in order to get it to do its flight. But if I throw it in a tailwind, I'm not reaching that 12 speed needed. I'm probably throwing it at a 9 speed or an 8 speed or I don't know, whatever speed. So it's not going to turn as much. It's not going to fade as much. Throwing a Mamba, -5 turn, it's not going to ever get to that -5 unless you can absolutely crush it. But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to throw the disc at the speed needed. So in a tailwind, the biggest thing you have to understand is your airspeed of your disc is slowing down. Throw something that's got a little understability, a destroyer, eagle, or throw something that's just going to be straight flying, like a Hawkeye or an MVP Reactor, an MVP Crave. The other big thing is then nose up, nose down. Same thing with the side winds. You don't want to go Heiser, you don't want to go Anheuser, depending on whichever way you're throwing. With the tailwind, if you go nose up, you got the wind coming from behind you. It's going to hit the top of the plate, drop it. If you throw 2 nose down, the wind coming from behind is going to get underneath the disc and pick it up. So, can you use that to your advantage? Absolutely. You got, I don't know, I'll throw a number out there, 400-foot hole, and you're going to throw a disc, I don't know, say you throw that in of a Valkyrie, okay? You're going to try to throw it straight. But you can't get it 400 feet. What are you going to do? Try throwing it a little nose down. That way that wind gets underneath of it, picks it up, and helps it carry it down the field. Now, what happens if you get too nose down? It's going to pick it up, and it's going to get it up in the air, and then all of a sudden you're up there where the wind's doing who knows what. And then your disc is going to do things you don't understand because the wind is doing something different 20 feet above your head than it is at ground level. So throw it just either flat or just a little bit nose down. If you throw it a little bit nose up, it's just going to get it and it's going to drop it. You're not going to get the distance. Throw it a little bit nose down. Let the wind carry it down the course, down the hole. Okay? Don't think you're going to get your Mamba out and you're going to do a hyzer flip. It's not going to do it. Okay? And that's the same thing like with a destroyer. You throw the destroyer out, you've thrown the disc so much slower now, it's going to fade faster. So my opinion is, when you got a tailwind, don't go picking up your 12-speed disc or your 13-speed or your 14-speed disc thinking, man, I'm really going to crush it. No, don't do that. I personally would disc maybe a little bit down. Go to a 9-speed and throw that Valkyrie. Throw the 9-speed, what are 9-speed discs? The Thunderbird? A Thunderbird. You can even throw a great disc I throw in the wind with a tailwind is a Hawkeye. It's a 7-speed disc, and it's like the MVP Crave. It's weird that it's a 7-speed, but it flies so much farther. And try to just give it a little bit nose down. That's all you got to do in a tailwind. Don't sit there and think you're throwing your destroyer 500 feet because you never will. Now the most feared wind of all, the headwind. Don't fear it. Attack it. Use it to your advantage. So again, let's think about that plane. What's it doing in a headwind? It's taking off. Why is it taking off in a headwind? Because that airplane needs speed to get up in the air and get flying. So they're going to take off in a headwind because when you throw your disc into a headwind, opposite of the tailwind, where the tailwind slows your airspeed down, your headwind is going to increase the airspeed of your disc. Okay? So next time you go out in a headwind, throw the most understable disc you got. Just see what happens. Okay? It's amazing. Take that Mamba, throw it into a straight headwind, and just watch your disc keep turning and never come back. Because you have now thrown an 11-speed disc at a 13-speed rating, and it's going to just help get that disc turning, and it's going to turn like you've never seen before. Obviously, that's not what we want to do. We do not want to throw understable discs in the headwind. Okay, I was kind of joking there. Do not throw understable discs in a headwind. What you want to throw is something that is beefy, overstable. So many people say, "Oh, the destroyer is such a great disc to throw in the headwind." No. It's really not. Not unless you have a overstable destroyer. What you want to throw are stuff like the Innova Ape, Innova Excalibur, Innova Firebird. Those are three. Innova Thunderbird, T-Bird 3. Those are great headwind discs to throw because they have a 0 turn and either a 2, 3, or a 4 fade. And what you're doing is you're getting that disc level, and it's going to get more airspeed, so it's going to fly farther before it fades. Again, with like the tailwind, nose up, nose down, with side winds, hyzer and hyzer. We gotta be conscious with the headwind, especially with the headwind. We do not want to go nose up. Because what happens when you go nose up, that wind gets underneath, it picks the disc up. If you can perfect it, a little nose up is okay because that'll pick the disc up and glide it down the field. But it's very touchy. If you get too much up, that's when the disc starts going straight up in the air, and then it does that stalling effect and just drops. Get too nose down, that the wind is just going to knock the disc down. We want to throw the disc level, and we want to throw it low. We don't want to get the disc way up in the air. Because again, the wind is doing something completely different 20 feet up in the air where the trees aren't blocking it. Okay, it's doing something completely different. You have no way to judge it. So we want to keep that disc low, and we want to have it in our mind that, hey, I can normally throw my destroyer 400 feet. It's probably only going to go 350 feet. You have to understand that in the wind, I'm not throwing it as far as normally can. But here's the thing you also got to remember is if you can't do it, the other 3 guys on your card are fighting the exact same thing. If they throw 400 feet normally, they're not throwing 400 feet today. But if you know how to attack the wind, you've got to step up on those other 3 guys. You've got to step against the field, okay? A lot of people don't know how to play in the wind. So, just to recap real quick. Side winds, keep it level. Don't throw hyzer, anhyzer. And understand that if you do, your disc is going to go up. Your disc is going to either going to go down or it's going to go up. And throw something that's going to fade into the wind. Tailwind, your disc airspeed is slowing down. You will not be able to achieve the turn that the disc needs to fly its normal flight. So if you normally throw something that's got a -4 turn, throw something that's got a -2 turn. If you throw something that's got a -2 turn normally, throw something that's got 0 turn to it, because it's not going to do it. Okay? Throw something straight. Keep that nose down just a little bit. Let that air get underneath. Help carry it down the course. Don't go nose up. And in a headwind, understand that your disc is flying at a higher airspeed. So you want to throw something that's more overstable, more beefy, something that's got a 0 turn and maybe a lot of fade. Don't throw something understable in a headwind. And just understand that your disc is not going to fly as far as normal. So next time you have a windy day, take your discs out. Go out, find an open field. Stand into a headwind. Just see what your discs do. Throw in a tailwind. See what the same discs are doing. Throw in a side wind. See what the same discs are doing. But of course, I wouldn't do any of this until after you've done field work on a calm day. Learn how to throw the discs in calm weather so you know what they're supposed to do. And then once you kind of get an idea about that, then attack the wind and see what that destroyer does differently in a headwind, what it does differently in a tailwind than when it does in a calm day. Hopefully this helps you. Wind can be used to your advantage. A lot of people don't love the wind. They avoid it as much as possible. So when tournament day comes and there's a 20-mile-an-hour wind, they have no idea what they're doing. You get out and practice in it. You understand the basics of what each wind does. Hey, you got one step up on the field. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what I said wrong. Tell me what I said right. Let me know how you did. All right, thanks.